Breaking news! Soldier Field is about to turn into a battlefield under the Monday night lights. Chicago's defense is locked, loaded, and ready to unleash a plan so ruthless it could send a rookie quarterback spiraling into chaos. The question is, will this strategy define the season, or will it backfire in the biggest moment of the year? Stay with me, because what's about to unfold could change everything. Chicago's defensive coordinator Dennis Allen isn't drawing up a normal game plan. No, this one is designed to dismantle rookie J.J. McCarthy's confidence before he even gets comfortable. Forget about heavy blitzes that McCarthy might be preparing for. This plan is all about deception. But before we dive deeper into this groundbreaking strategy, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss breaking NFL updates. Now, let's get back to the action. Here's what makes Allen's approach so dangerous. He's going to bait McCarthy with what looks like simple coverages before the snap, something that screams easy read to a rookie. But the moment the ball is snapped, the entire picture shifts. Cover 2 suddenly morphs into cover 3. Linebackers drop into hidden zones. Safeties rotate into unexpected positions. And just when McCarthy thinks he has a receiver wide open, boom, a defender is standing right in the passing lane. This isn't just defense, it's psychological warfare. For a quarterback used to Michigan's ground-heavy dominance and limited high-pressure throws, Soldier Field is about to feel like an entirely different universe. If this plan works, McCarthy won't just be rattled, he'll be questioning every read he makes for the rest of the night. That kind of mind game can crush a rookie before he even realizes what's happening. And trust me, none of this is by accident. Dennis Allen has been dissecting J.J. McCarthy's film since draft night, and he's zeroed in on the flaw that could end this kid's confidence in front of the entire nation. Here's the issue: McCarthy loves making snap decisions. It worked in college, where defenses were vanilla and coverages stayed true. But this is the NFL, predictability doesn't exist, and one wrong read means disaster. Now imagine this: on the first few plays, Allen plays it soft. He shows McCarthy simple looks, lets him connect on a couple easy completions, maybe even gives him the illusion of control. That's the bait. But as soon as McCarthy settles in, the trap closes. Those same pre-snap coverages suddenly morph into something completely different after the snap: rotations, disguised zones, hidden defenders ready to pounce. And the real ace up Allen's sleeve? Veteran safety Kevin Byard. His football IQ is exactly what this scheme needs. One moment he's lined up deep, lulling McCarthy into thinking the middle is open. The next, he's crashing down on a route the rookie thought was safe, snatching away both the ball and McCarthy's confidence. Now, layer this with the stage itself. Monday Night Football. Soldier Field roaring under the lights. A divisional matchup with the entire country watching. It's not just pressure, it's a storm waiting to break the rookie in half. But Allen isn't stopping at coverages. He's bringing psychological warfare with what's called a pressure mirage. The defense shifts, linebackers creep, safeties rotate, sometimes it's a blitz, sometimes it's nothing. McCarthy will spend the entire night second-guessing whether the pocket is about to collapse or not. For years, Chicago fans begged for creativity on defense. Now, we finally have a coordinator who knows exactly how to dismantle a young quarterback from the very first snap. And the best part: Allen isn't just game planning for McCarthy. He knows the Vikings' big weapons, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, are waiting to explode. Here's the truth: if J.J. McCarthy can't read coverages, it doesn't matter if he has Justin Jefferson or Randy Moss out there. Wrong reads mean forced throws, stalled drives, or worse, sacks that kill momentum. But all of this hangs on a critical question: will Kyler Gordon even suit up? Because if Gordon is out, the entire plan Dennis Allen has built could start to unravel. This isn't just about losing a slot corner, it's about losing the chess piece that makes the whole defense unpredictable. Kevin Byard himself has called Gordon one of the most athletic defenders he's ever lined up with. And he's not wrong. Gordon can line up anywhere: corner, nickel, safety. He can blitz, he can drop deep, he can erase tight ends across the middle. His versatility is the very engine of Allen's disguised coverages. Now imagine Soldier Field under the lights, but no Kyler Gordon. That's not just a missing player, that's a missing weapon. Suddenly, Allen's ability to rotate coverages, bluff pressure, and disguise looks becomes limited. And if that's not enough, it gets worse. Josh Blackwell is also questionable with a groin injury. Jalen Johnson hasn't even logged a full practice. Which leaves Nahshon Wright. And Bears fans, you already know the nightmare here. Think back to that preseason matchup against Kansas City. Wright was torched. Overmatched. Lost in coverage against starters. He gave up separation too easily, misread routes, and looked hesitant on plays where confidence is everything. That's not just a small concern, that's a glaring liability. Without Gordon, the defense shifts from flexible and dangerous to predictable and exposed. And if Wright is forced onto the field for significant snaps, McCarthy's life suddenly gets a whole lot easier. The one weakness Allen planned to exploit, McCarthy's inexperience, could flip into Minnesota's advantage if Chicago doesn't have its secondary at full strength. And here's where things get messy. Nahshon Wright simply doesn't have the experience or instincts to run those complex rotations Dennis Allen has designed. Without him, the playbook shrinks, and suddenly what was supposed to be Chicago's strength turns into a glaring weakness. Ryan Poles, the Bears' general manager, spent the entire offseason talking about one thing: seeing this secondary fully healthy for Week 1. He admitted camp was frustrating because they never once had all the defensive backs on the field together. And now, here we are opening night and the exact same problem stares this team in the face. How does this happen? How does a unit built to be the backbone of the defense become its biggest question mark before the first whistle? The ripple effect is massive. It puts enormous pressure on Montez Sweat and Dayo Odeyingbo to dominate up front. If those two don't collapse the pocket immediately, McCarthy will have the luxury of time, and time is the one thing you can't give a quarterback with Jefferson and Addison running routes. This is the catch: all those exotic coverages Allen wants to roll out depend on the secondary holding their ground long enough for the disguise to work. If the corners are getting burned or just struggling to keep up, there's no window for those rotations to even develop. The scheme collapses before it starts. Now, there is one possible silver lining. If Kyler Gordon is able to play even at limited capacity, Allen could deploy him in specialized roles. Picture this: Gordon comes in on third downs, red zone snaps, or other critical situations where his versatility is most valuable. It wouldn't be ideal, but it could still tilt the game plan back in Chicago's favor. The other path? Simplify. Strip down the disguise-heavy concepts, lean on direct blitzes, and give the backups a scheme they can actually execute without hesitation. It won't be as creative, but it might be the only way to survive. But here's the harsh reality: if Gordon can't go, and the Bears are forced to roll with someone like Nickel Moultrie inside, McCarthy's night suddenly looks a whole lot easier. Without Gordon's presence in the slot, Minnesota may have just found the opening they need to move the ball consistently. Everything now hinges on pre-game workouts. That's where the real decisions will be made: who's healthy enough to suit up, who's not, and Dennis Allen will be forced to adjust his entire strategy on the fly. One late injury report could flip the script completely. But just when Chicago faces its own questions, chaos erupts in Detroit, and this might be the best break the Bears could ask for heading into Week 2. Forget the headlines about Ben Johnson leaving as offensive coordinator. That's big, sure, but the real disaster is up front. The Lions' offensive line, once their greatest weapon, is now a patched-up mess. 60% of it has changed, and the cracks showed immediately against Green Bay. Let's break it down. Frank Ragnow, the anchor and leader of that unit, is gone. Kevin Zeitler left in free agency. Graham Glasgow has been shoved into the center role, a spot he's barely handled across his career. And lining up at guard? Two rookies, Christian Mahogany and Tate Ratledge, thrown straight into the fire. The results? Brutal. Detroit managed just 46 rushing yards the entire game. A line that was once hailed as the league's most dominant couldn't even push around a Packers front missing Kenny Clark. In the first half alone, they tried 16 rushing attempts for only 48 yards, that's 3 yards per carry. For a team built on power football, that's a complete failure. And here's the bigger issue, this isn't about talent, it's about chemistry. Ragnow wasn't just a center, he was the brain of that line. He called protections, made adjustments, kept the unit synchronized. Without him, they looked confused, slow, and exposed. Glasgow is being asked to do a job he's never fully mastered, while the rookies are drowning against NFL speed. Now add another blow, star cornerback Terrion Arnold tweaked his groin, and Dan Campbell couldn't offer any timeline for his recovery. That leaves Detroit vulnerable on both sides of the ball. And this is where Chicago can strike. Gervon Dexter has spent the entire offseason refining his interior rush. Andrew Billings and Grady Jarrett bring power and experience. Against this inexperienced, shaky line, the Bears' defensive front doesn't just have an advantage, they have the chance to completely take over. If Chicago capitalizes, Ford Field might not see a shootout next week. It might see a dismantling. Now picture this, 2 rookie guards, already exposed by Green Bay's front, lining up against Gervon Dexter. Green Bay isn't even known for their interior pass rush, and yet Mahogany and Ratledge looked completely overwhelmed. What happens when they face Dexter, a lineman with speed, power, and technique they've never experienced? His rip moves, his bull rush, his sheer explosiveness, these rookies won't stand a chance. And then there's Andrew Billings. Solid, consistent, and downright nasty in the trenches. Now he gets a shot at Graham Glasgow, who's been forced into the center role. Glasgow is serviceable at guard, but against a true nose tackle like Billings, this matchup tilts heavily in Chicago's favor. It's not just a mismatch, it's a nightmare waiting to happen for Detroit. But here's the twist. New offensive coordinator John Morton tried to copy Ben Johnson's formula, pound the ball early, wear down defenses, control the game. Only this time, it failed miserably. And it didn't fail because the playbook was wrong, it failed because the offensive line couldn't execute it. 16 rushing attempts in the first half, barely 3 yards a pop. Morton had no choice but to abandon the ground game. That isn't a philosophy, it's desperation. And when Detroit is forced to abandon the run, the weight falls squarely on Jared Goff. And we've seen this story before. When Goff is under steady pressure, he gets rattled. The timing breaks down, the reads come late, and the throws get risky. He presses, he forces the ball, and that's when defenses feast. Now add another layer, Detroit's secondary is banged up. Terrion Arnold's injury leaves them without their best corner, and that opens the door for Caleb Williams to carve them up. Imagine DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and rookie Romo Duns lining up against a vulnerable secondary, it's a recipe for fireworks. And here's the final piece that seals it for me, mentality. Detroit didn't just lose to Green Bay, they were embarrassed on national television. And when a team walks into the next week desperate, that's when mistakes pile up. Forced plays, reckless gambles, and poor decisions. Those are the cracks Chicago's defense can split wide open. And here's the wild part, Green Bay just added Micah Parsons in a blockbuster trade. You'd expect him to wreck Detroit's battered line, right? Instead, he managed just 1 sack, and that came in garbage time, long after the game was already decided. That tells me everything. Even with Parsons on the field, Green Bay couldn't consistently collapse the pocket. If that's the case, imagine what Gervon Dexter and Andrew Billings can do when they line up across from 2 rookie guards who are already drowning. The truth is simple, Detroit heads into Ford Field with more uncertainty than answers. Their offensive line is patched together and experimenting on the fly. Their new coordinator is scrambling to establish an identity. Their secondary is limping without Terrion Arnold. And their confidence? It's shot after being manhandled by Green Bay on national television. So here's the real question, can Dennis Allen still break J.J. McCarthy even if Kyler Gordon doesn't play? Because if the disguises hold, McCarthy could be in for the longest night of his young career. And on the other side of things, is Detroit doomed to implode, or do they somehow find a way to adjust before it's too late? For me, the writing is on the wall. Dexter and Billings have a chance to dominate like we haven't seen in years, punishing that Lions interior until it crumbles. And when you combine that with an offense led by Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze attacking a weakened secondary, it feels less like a matchup and more like an opportunity to seize control of the entire NFC North. Chicago has been waiting for this moment. If they capitalize on Detroit's collapse while locking down a nervous rookie in Minnesota, this might not just be a strong start to the season, it could be the beginning of a new era.